Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bushwhacking History in Buffalo with Berserker Bear. As you can see on the screen, we're at Old Fort Niagara. Well, it's a picture of Old Fort Niagara, but that's the sign that's at the place when you roll up in there. So we're live. It was kind of a last minute thing. I don't expect too many people to be here, but my good buddy Robbie and I were there about 2 weeks ago, and we just tried to do a Zoom cast together while showcasing this. I was going to do it as pre-recorded, and some quirks happened in the process of that. Namely, it seems at this point in time I'm not going to be able to showcase my 4K video from the GoPro on a Zoom chat. I might have to work that out, but when I went back over it, God bless Robbie for sticking around. We were going over the slideshow and the video, and everything was going good while we were in the recording. Lo and behold, afterwards, when I go through it, the video was so choppy. So that being said, we're not going to waste too much more time. Let's get an establishing shot to show where we are in regards to Buffalo, where Old Fort Niagara is. Pivotal point, historical point. I'm not going to get too much into the gravy of data and research. Robbie and I will come back and do that for a part 2 afterwards, like we normally do. So we have PT Ripa here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Always a supporter. How's the audio doing? I was thinking about putting some tunes on, but it's just too much. So let's just jump right into it. So establishing shot. Let's get me bigger here on the screen, and I will bring this over. Oh, how are we going to do that? Let's get clever real quick. Okay, so I was at Old Fort Niagara with my homie Robbie and established this. Okay, there we go. Y'all can see it now. That's the overhead view of Buffalo. Old Fort Niagara here, top right. And where I am in Buffalo is obviously right down here at right where Lake Erie empties into Niagara River. My favorite river in the world, in the realm, in a class of its own. I detailed that last time. But Old Fort Niagara, and when I say pivotal, I've detailed this before as well. Coming into the interior of the United States or America or New France, way back in the day, 1600s, you had to pass through Old Fort Niagara. But at that time, it was Fort Conti, established by the French at about the 1650s. Or 1680, I believe, top of my head. But you know what? Let's say actually, real quick, sorry about the sound on the keyboard. This is a last minute thing. Old Fort Niagara. I said I wasn't going to do the data research of it, but heck. Established, was I right? Yep. Controlled by in the middle 1600s. It changed hands a couple times because, again, New France, New Amsterdam, this area, again, very pivotal to get into the interior for the lucrative fur pelt trade. But initially it was established by the French, called Fort Conti. Then the English took it over, and then it went to the United States. So that's where we're at right now. And it's classical bastion style. I know people like to use Star Fort. I like to use the academic terms. I'm not knocking anybody who uses that. You'll still hear me use it interchangeably. It is a bastion fort. And it's right where the river empties into Lake Ontario, once called Lake Frontenac. French name, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right, but that's the establishing shot. And Robbie and I went there a couple weeks ago, and I had the GoPro in tow. And the last time I was there, you're going to hear me say it numerous times in the audio, in the video, as long as everything goes well. There he is. Everybody say what's up to Robbie. That's who I was there with, and I would really appreciate if you go over and show him some support and sub to his channel. Let's get him up over that 1,000 mark. He's one heck of a good researcher, good friend, family man, had a recent baby, beautiful family, and a hard worker. So he's got great content too. He puts together these shorts that are amazing. So everybody sub to Robbie Rad. The dude's an OG. But anyway, we were here and it was awesome. And I got to showcase it because I don't want it to get too stale. Sometimes I get a little over ambitious and I wanted to edit our talk that we had together, but it just didn't work over Zoom. The 4K footage while we were in the Zoom process and I was recording, it looked fine from my end. But after I recorded and looked at it, it was so choppy, it's just not usable. So Robbie, brother, I'm sorry that I had you on the line for that long and you literally can't use the footage. It's just something more complicated and something I got to learn. But that is what it is. You're cutting our teeth here while we're doing it. But this place was awesome. Just a brief overview. I mean, you see it from this angle overhead. It doesn't look that big compared to other bastion forts. But I'll tell you what, when you're there and you're walking on it, as usual, you get the grandiosity of it. So I'm gonna show that. Who was at war in this area? French and Indian War. So the French were here. It's called the French and Indian War. It's also known the whole 17th century in this area could be classified as the Beaver Wars. The Dutch were here, okay? French was here, and the British were here. And they were all vying for that lucrative fur pelt market into the interior. And you had to, number one, negotiate Fort Niagara, and then you had to negotiate the portage of Niagara Falls, which my good buddy Toronto Joubert and I did about last month. We were actually there at the tunnel. I'm not going to get too much into that because we're already getting a little bit too long in the tooth here. I get a little, I get long-winded here. But that said, I got a lot of pictures to show you, all off the GoPro 4K. So let's hope that it comes through. I'm curious to see. I know when the replay, when this loads up tomorrow after I'm done going live, because I'm using StreamYard, the free StreamYard, it's not going to be 4K HDM. It is what it is, guys. I'm still working through. Oh, Iron Man Bear, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Oakland in the house. It's a little frustrating. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but when I got the GoPro, it's actually created more headaches than it's kind of solved because the data that these 5K, 4K videos produce, it's insane. It's like I have to have a mainframe server computer to process it all, but I'm getting by and I'm doing my thing and I'm learning. Brandon Bonanza, too. Thanks for stopping in, guys. I didn't think anybody was going to come in because it's so late. So here I am rattling, but that's where we're at. We established where I'm at. We established the significance of it. So let's just go into the pictures of it. Here we are. As long as nothing goes wrong. Okay, obviously I got to take a picture of it while I'm on the road. See the sign to Fort Erie or Fort Niagara, excuse me. Fort Erie is the one near me. We'll go over that another time, but it's in Canada. So shout out to our Canadian brethren. Much love and respect. But for example, this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to cycle through the pictures and interlaced through the pictures our video. So if I can get some feedback, I think that, yeah, Brandon Bonanza, how you doing, man? Let me see, where's my computers? Oh, here we go. Good to see you, bro. Everybody go subscribe to Brandon Bonanza's channel, too. He puts out some really good content and a great presentation. Solid dude, good dude. I've been on the channel before, too. I appreciate that. Okay, so we have all of our ducks in a row, I believe. And I apologize. You're going to hear me hitting the next, or if I'm typing on the keyboard, you're going to hear that. The Yeti microphone picks up everything. How is my audio, by the way? Feedback. Brandon says going well. Still doing oversharing. Yeah, oversharing. Shout out to oversharing as well. You guys do a great job. So if you go to Brandon Bonanza's channel, you'll see oversharing as well. Keep crushing there. Let's go. Altair Oprego, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Okay, good audio. I'm told we have good audio. So that's what we're going to do. If anybody has any questions or regarding the research, but I think I gave a general overview of what's going on in this area numerous times. I've went over not necessarily Fort Niagara, but in general, the importance of my area. It's kind of like a linchpin for, again, getting into the interior. I think this place is ancient. I think that there were, I walk on ancient earthworks at the head of the river, and I got some theories and hypotheses going on there. So it's an ever-going research conglomerate, what you have over here in bushwhacking history. So I don't want to go too much into it. You guys can follow up and do your thing afterwards. I'm just showing you that we were there and we had a great time. And when you're interested in something, sometimes the best way to go see what's going on is to go there, is to get your boots on the ground, as we call it here in this alternative history niche. I like to say the term field work because academically that's what it is, but I'm not being snobby. I'm just a terms guy. So there goes Robbie, and as long as all the audio is good, we're going to get right into it. Ain't going to waste no more time. Let's get right into it. Robbie says, loves the oversharing show. Haven't tuned in some time, but I'm due. Good for you, man. Keep it up. That's how we do it. Networking and giving each other positive, optimistic feedback. That's what we are about here. Yeah, it probably was. You and I have been to a lot of places, Robbie, and I should put together like a playlist that specifies exactly where we've been. But you're right. So we're in the parking lot there. You can see in the background one of the towers. And as long as the audio is good, make sure you guys will be able to hear this. Well, let's see. Let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's get into the first video. Yeah, Robbie and I have been to, oh goodness, Lockport, Mount Albion Cemetery. What other places have we been, Robbie? You could zoom in. That's one of the things I like about having the GoPro. When you zoom in, it still keeps the quality. But I haven't learned how to do it on video yet. Oh, glory. Here we go.
I think we have to sign in and pay here. And then I think they let us on the other side of the gate. We got the back door, and then we're in the complex.
In the complex of what?
Old Fort Niagara,
yes,
bro.
We're here, dude. Boots on the ground field work. And that's, well, in the distance right there is the original, okay? French building. And we just got here. Okay, Robbie and I just got here. We've been wanting to come here for a little bit. As a matter of fact, we had to put the Viking spearhead on the back burner because of their awkward hours.
Yeah.
But we got together to come here finally, and it's not a beautiful blue sky day, but it's overcast. But we're gonna check out everything around us and then share it out. So we're here, Old Fort Niagara, boots on the ground, bushwhacking history with my boy Robbie Radbear, full rip, if you remember. Been around for a hot minute. So we'll report back. All right, check you later. Okay, so that's kind of what's going to be the format here. We'll cycle through. I'll keep an eye. All right, great. Thank you, Jack Webb. I appreciate that. Good to have you here. Thanks for showing up. Much obliged. Pretty cool. We got a nice crowd going here. I'm not sure how many we have entirely, but no big deal. All right, cool. Good feedback. So that's it. I'll keep an eye, like I said, on the chat. If you guys have any questions, let's get this out there. And then Robbie and I will come back sometime in the near future to showcase the history. Again, this is a really significant area. There is a lot of history about it. So we kind of would just be going over what so many other historians have been showcasing in the past about Fort Niagara. But I think it's good to underlay what we have insights on, like, for example, Robbie and his Star Fort Bastion forts. He's the one that I heard of the gentleman Cohorn. I mentioned Dutch earlier. Cohorn is a Dutch gentleman who is known for his fortifications, namely the Starfort fortifications. And there's a counterpart of a French counterpart named Vauban. So you have Vauban style forts and Cohorn style forts in the northeast, or the western part of Europe. Robbie told me last time while we were going through our Zoom recording that I had to trash, unfortunately, goodness, that they were also dovetailing off of the work of Italian bastion forts. That was new to me. So I thought it was just Cohorn and Vauban, again, respectively, Dutch and French. I thought these were just French creations. Lo and behold, Robbie informs me that obviously we've seen these pictures before, and you were right about the name. Palmanova, Robbie, I think, is the Italian bastion fort that looks like a huge star. So they've been around.
You come in the visitor center, and they have a whole bunch of books. We can't help ourselves. Good one, Robbie? Pouchot, that's the first.
Yep.
Oh, encyclopedic. Look at that.
Memoirs on the late war in North
That's
America.
a pretty book right there.
Bro. Bet you that's got some gravy. I might have to pick that one up.
It's funny. I was just telling Robbie last night on archive.org. I was looking at this very book right here.
There you go, Robbie. So those are all the places that he and I have went so far. And we have a whole, okay, cool, perfect. Thanks, Robbie. Video and audio are good. Just a little bit nervous as to how these 4K videos are going to present on StreamYard. And if you guys can see them right now in 4K HD, that's awesome. Because I know for sure once it replays, it chops it down to 720. And you lose the 4K HD, which is a pain in the ass. Again, like I said, this GoPro kind of presented a little bit more hassle than it has helped me with, but we'll work through it. As long as you guys see it now good, we're good. And yeah, of course, we had to hit the library first, right? Brandon Bonanza says, I consume a wide variety of content creators when it comes to this old world stuff, and I can honestly say that your content is the most grounded in reality. Wow, that's one heck of a compliment coming from you, Brandon. I really appreciate that, man. For real. Thank you. Cool. Thanks, Jack Webb. All right, let's go. Yeah. I mean, obviously you can see the star shape of it. And because the change of hands that went, it's a really cool dynamic about the fort. Because initially when the French had it in the late 1600s, they planted their foot there and you had to defend against the natives. So the defense was on the land side, and they had say of the highway, which was the waterways back in that time period. There weren't a lot of roads there, not too many at all, maybe native trails and game trails. So the highway, the super highway, was the water. And if you control the water, which at that time, I just get a picture in my mind of like swashbuckling. You don't think too much of piracy up in this area, but there definitely was privateering going on the high seas and getting in here through the St. Lawrence. This area was massive. So when the French planted their foot here, you only had to defend against the land side because they had the water side. But that changed when we took it over and kicked the British out, the War of Independence, 1776, Old Glory. And it pretty much made these fortifications null and void. And the French went across to Fort George, right across the river. As a matter of fact, I may should show that, because there's another star bastion fort right here. You can see the footprint of it. So after 1776, the British quickly went over to Fort George, and because this has got like a 9-foot elevation advantage, they were able to blast us. We held our own, and we blasted them back, and it became, I mean, it never was intended, Fort Niagara was not intended initially to be a border fort, but it became a border fort because of the change of hands. So again, I don't want to get too long in the teeth here, because we got 170 pictures and videos to go through.
Or if you want to go in there, I'll meet you
Hence.
in a second. I'm going to use the bathroom right here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's it right there. The importance of this place is almost inconceivable. It is the key to the whole continent. Exactly. And I briefly detailed that a couple times without, I don't want to be too repetitive, but me too, Brandon. Lately I've been going nuts on Archaics on YouTube. Give it a look. Yeah, I'm familiar with Archaics. His depth of knowledge on recall and chronology is very impressive. Tecumseh, yep. So like I said, underlining what is the importance of this area in this region, that quote hits it on the head for sure. And I love models. That little model, like right there. I'd like to have that in my basement right here somewhere. But this is so excuse me, when you initially walk into the place, there's a museum, and Robbie pointed out that I went the wrong way initially, like a jag-off. I went this way. We're supposed to go the other way. As far as speaking of chronology and timeline, it was to go to the left, but I went the wrong way. So Robbie always keeping me on my toes, my man. It's what good friends do. But we had a good time regardless. And I'd highly recommend you taking a walk through this, soaking it all in. We're not going to go through everything. That's for you guys to follow up. I'm just kicking it off for you, showing how cool this is. It's right in my backyard. I have the ambition and the historical reverence to get to these places. So why not? Speaking of the American Revolution, interesting dynamic between how the French originally got it, and then I think sometime in the 1720s, the British took it over. I could be wrong there, and I have the information right here, but not all of it's completely exactly what I'm talking about at the time right now. But yeah, it's like I had a question earlier. What wars were going on in the 1600s at this time? You had the French and Indian Wars. You had the Beaver Wars, which pretty much took place throughout the whole of the 1600s. And it was the Dutch, the French, and the British all vying for control, trying to gain the friendship of the natives. because if you had the friendship of the natives, you were able to have a little bit more leverage to try to get over on the other person. Lo and behold, which is a cool thing for America, they kind of looked over us coming into fruition as a nation. And then we were like, yeah, you guys are all, vying over this land. Now it's ours. Thought that was pretty interesting. Or like an interesting way history goes. It's like we came out of nowhere with the left hook and, sat everybody down and said, this is our land now. Maybe we can see that one. Why Niagara? The early importance of the Niagara region was due to its location astride the major water route into the heart of North America. The need for native peoples and later Europeans to bypass Niagara Falls made the area one of the key control points for travel and commerce. So let's take that and underline and highlight the fact that I think that this is a very ancient place. And before even not recorded history, but before they say, well, the Columbian Exchange, I think that there was civilization here long time ago, and not necessarily that the buildings were here or the star forts were here. I think that there were earthworks here. And shout out to Ben, the archivist, great channel. Go check him out because he does excellent work about digging up not just old articles, but the significance of them articles, how they relate to each region, each state. He goes down through all of them. And we all have this undertone of there was something going on here prior to the Columbian Exchange, more than just natives. And speaking of Old Glory, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, Ben is one heck of a researcher. I would highly recommend y'all check him out. I'm not familiar with that. I know that they stopped the American side of the Niagara Falls, but stopping the flow of the Niagara River is immense. It's like I said before in my last video, or one of them, it's in its own class. It's under 50 miles in length. As a matter of fact, it's 36 miles in length. And it drops 333 feet. How about that numerology for you? And it has a cubic flow rate of over 200,000. That's insane. That's literally insane. I say it's in its own class. I've showed it before, but if you look up a list of rivers by discharge in the U.S., I think Niagara River is number 7. And just compare and contrast it against the one that's right up next to it and the one before it. I think number 8 is the Detroit River, and it's like 44 miles or something like that in length. I could be wrong, but it's nowhere near 200,000 cubic flow rate. So you got a short river. Effectively, it's like a river and a strait because it's connecting two bodies of water, fresh water, and the current is insane. So that's another reason why I question how they built certain foundations of bridges.
Okay, so we were just down here, and Robbie's like, I wonder if we can go up these stairs. And as we're walking up the stairs, Robbie's like, that's the shot. So it's an elevated view. How cool is that? Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. And right out the back window, there's an old Pouchot castle out back. We're going to be there next.
Okay. So we kind of make our way through the museum, walk on top of the fort. We haven't even gotten to the courtyard yet. Wait till this is about to open up, y'all. And we're inside right now, but you're going to see a picture to the fort, and we're gonna get there. Some of the videos are a little windy, but heck, whatever. It's a visceral experience here. I appreciate it. There you go. That's all. I love this picture. Yeah, and Robbie found it. I'm like, what are these stairs to? And Robbie's like, I think we can go up them. I'm like, let's go. And then you got a higher angle of it. And then just a lot of information. One thing to point out is I do a lot of scouring and researching for data on the interweb. Another reason why I promote old books. These are a lot of my old books that I have given to me from my family library. And a lot of them, the ones I have in my hand, are both from like 1911, 1920, or 1930. One of them is 1911. And I have a whole bunch of them. And they're from my family inherited library. I do have some that were gifted and given to me. Shout out to John Horan, who gave me Echoes in the Mist. That's where I found the actual term Vauban style bastion fort. But sometimes the pictures that are provided online or even in the books that I have, you can't find them unless you actually get to the place. And because I've never seen this one before. And again, anomalies that stick out to me are these 3 islands right here. I know of 2 of them in Grand Island, but up here at the where Lake Erie enters into Niagara River, right? There's earthwork gravy going on, and in my opinion, ancient waterworks. And that's something that I'm currently working on. But we have years and years of research here, and I'm blessed and grateful. And I got my homie Robbie Radbear to help me out with it. My second breakfast break. What a great Lord of the Rings reference. Oh, I love it. Second breakfast. What about second breakfast? Can we surmise the river flow was not? It's possible. Yes, that's one of the things that I'm getting at. It seems like it was a little bit wider. Great question, Lysergis. Thanks for showing up, man. That's what I'm thinking, but that's not in the historical record. Okay, it was never said that they actually terraformed the river itself. But I think that there's some ancient waterworks going on, and they were hidden. And I think, in my opinion, could it be the gentleman who was attributed to the Buffalo street grid pattern is Joseph Ellicott, the surveyor. He was the surveyor general and canal general of New York State, and his brother was the right-hand man, surveyor general for Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, Andrew Ellicott and I think Pierre Lafont, whoever is attributed to the layout of, whatever quote unquote Masonic layout of Washington, D.C., Andrew Ellicott had a major part in that as well. In fact, in the very famous picture of the anointing of the cornerstone of George Washington, where he's wearing his Masonic garb, I'm pretty sure the 2 people in the background are Joseph Ellicott and Andrew Ellicott. So they were very significant. And Joseph is the one who did Buffalo and allegedly the radial street pattern of Buffalo. And I think that there is a little bit more to that story. I think, in my opinion, that the radial pattern was here. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm researching it. So, matter of fact, I have this one in my trove, this map. And the Tryon map. Yep, it's a Tryon map. Very cool. It shows the 6 nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, which is very prominent. Again, like I said, when the European influence, let's just coalesce and call it that, was here vying for a foothold, you had to butt up next to or either befriend or fight the Iroquois because they were the ones who held sway. Note the height of the fort off the water, which is what stuck out to me when I was videoing this. I'm like, look at how high that is. Great point there, Jack. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm digging that we have some more fans, and appreciate you. More model gravy, of course. Okay, we're going to be getting to the. Let's get through this stuff. I get a little bit too crazy. There we go. This is important to show because look at the size of these beavers. I was talking to when I was doing the recording with Robbie. Just saying, like, imagine you're an Indian or a French soldier back in the day. You're doing your thing. Maybe you're on like an errand, taking parchment or a heads up or a note from one fort to the other. And then, while I'm fishing, we see beavers quite frequently around here. One of these things pop out at you, it would, if you're not ready for it, and the size of these things just astound me. That would creep me out. And I'm sure if they're aggressive, they could be formidable. But look at the size that Robbie's squaring up to him like, what's up? Hilarious. But they're big. And again, that is the fur pelt trade. Beaver pelts, yeah. I'm sure. Here's my contention as well. Robbie and I have you'll hear me in the future of this cast talking about the lucrative fur pelt trade. And it's my contention that in the Viking Age, I think that they were here and there was established trade from here, the New World, all the way over to Constantinople. And I think that the Vikings would have been a pivotal peoples for doing that. Here we go. Boom. And I can guarantee that there are some fur pelts that were taken from here, the northeast of America, that some emperor was wearing in Constantinople at the time. And to bring up Constantinople, this being the pinch point that it is, this region, as I've stated before, I would make a parallel. If there was empires here, not just native, maybe the Moors, maybe the Vikings, maybe Spain, the Phoenicians. Matter of fact, Ben was just bringing up Barry Fell, my homie, in his cast recently. I think he was reading from America BC. And so this gentleman, Barry Fell, believes that he's found inscriptions from the Celts that were here, allegedly here. And Barry even says that there possibly could have been Phoenicians here. So wrap your mind around the possibility that there was highly advanced, maybe not technically advanced, but highly advanced civilizations here in the New World 1000 BC. Okay, I'm not claiming that. I'm just saying, could it be? I believe so, but we need a lot more proof, and that's what we're doing, going through all this stuff. And what I think of when we're doing this research, and Barry puts that out there, that there could have been civilization here, and I see these radial street patterns, and I'm like, these were probably canals, y'all. And people like the academics and the oh goodness, I hate to call it out like this, but the Dunning-Kruger or the bottleneck of mainstream academia would laugh at us for saying that, but it's like they need to pump the brakes here, and we're not being antagonistic to you. We're just trying to have a level playing field because there are historians that believe this stuff and they're just not put out there. So that's what we do. That's what you can expect from us when you're watching our videos. Consider the possibility that there was civilization here advanced long before the Columbian Exchange. Okay. Let's get back to the gravy. So here we are. We opened up and went right into the, well, you know what? Let's go back there right quick just so you guys get a orientation to show you exactly. So we were just in the museum, and I just want to show you where we came out from. Like where we're standing in that picture. The museum was right, where is it? You guys can hear my fan in the computer, I'm sorry. You walk out the door right here, okay? And we're like, I'm taking that picture like right here. This is what I love about doing this work in this presentation. Like I really appreciate this. It's one of the funnest things to do ever. So I'm probably standing right here, and Robbie's right next to me in that picture. All right, let's get back to it. The establishing shot, boom. And boy, was this awesome. Wasn't it, Robbie? Here we go.
Okay, so we just walked out of the museum center, and we're in the grounds right now. And what's striking to me right off the jump is I just said to Robbie, you got a hawk right there. Wow, there are a lot of birds. What's striking to me is the sprawling, how big it really is, and then you can really get a sense now of the ramparts. Okay, so that's the parking lot for reference that we came in from. And wow, where'd you go?
I was just seeing what that sign was. I didn't know if it says, keep off the grass or something.
But okay, wow. So we got stockade fence right here, and we're coming up. Wow, this is we're walking on a star. Holy moly,
Yo,
dude!
this is hype.
Is this what this gives you some ambition for what you want to do at your land, bro?
Yeah, a little bit.
Look
bigger,
at these
scale,
works.
but...
Oh my word! So this is what you see. Please, oh, it does say that. Keep off the slopes. Please keep off the slopes. Wow. So yeah, but you could really see. Okay, let's get you in for scale, Robbie. This is amazing. So it goes down, flatten, down to a triangular ravine, back up. So it's like symmetrical. And we're gonna have to weave our way around, just like a literal approaching army, zigzagging, as the British did to the French.
This is part of the hornwork. You can see it. It's an L cut. And then this is your outer.
Oh yeah.
Your center
This is how much. Let's see if I can get a higher. That's it. This is the pinnacle right here then, right? That's the main one, actually.
Yeah, and then this is your outer hornwork here. This is the outer.
You're saying outer hornwork?
Yeah, that like wait, we got the brochure somewhere, right?
This is fantastic.
This is what we're looking at right here.
Right. Right.
So then that's your outer.
You are here.
Bro.
That's awesome. Very cool. And then it's like, as I'm looking around though, it's like, how do we get to where those people are in there?
All the way around.
Which way though?
I think we go down this way.
All right.
Keep off the slopes.
Keep off the slopes. How cool is this, Robbie? Another outing, bushwhacking history together. Heck, man. Historic place. And then another crushing adventure. So like it to share it with you guys, and appreciate you coming along. All right.
That's right, buddy. My go dog. Because when we go out researching and sleuthing, Robbie Radbear goes with me. And again, Robbie's got a channel. Great channel. Please subscribe to him. It's called Robbie Rad. R-O, just like you see on his name. ROBBIERAD. All one word.
Sometimes the answers come as you're working through a problem. How do you get in there? Well, as we came around, see Robbie over there doing his plyometrics. Look at this. Yeah. Okay, wow. I've seen this many times. As a matter of fact, I have this picture in my book That goes with a mist.
Yeah,
That wall right there.
actually, bro.
Wow.
Dude. Wow.
How epic.
Tell y'all right now, looking at it from Google Earth and looking at it from old maps and old photos. I mean, it's cool, but it don't do it justice.
It doesn't do it justice. Yeah. Unless you're walking on it.
Wow. Wow. What do you think? Should we go down the gullet or we go up top? What do you think?
I say we go up top and around and come out.
Got you.
Let's do it.
Exactly. And I'll put it up right here because I've said this so many times. We walk on what we research around here. I'm not saying that obviously I use the internet as well. I also use my books in conjunction with the research on the internet. And we also get out in the field, doing field work, walking on top of, rubbing our nose on what we research. I promote that up and down, left and right, through and through. And Brandon Bonanza said, what's under those? There you go. What's under those mounds? Great point. It's a great point. And you might see as we're leaving, Robbie points something out. So stick around because there's a lot more gravy to be ladled.
So our attention is focused here, right, on the works, but just to get some reference, we're right next to the Niagara River and obviously Lake Ontario. This is the terminus of Niagara River, the mouth of the Niagara River, where it ends emptying into Lake Ontario, Old Lake Frontenac. Or Frontenac, excuse my French pronunciation, as we're staying right down the eyesight of some cannons. Yeah, look at this, dude. So okay, now we're going over the bridge. This is sick. There you go.
Sorry about the wind, but like I said, visceral.
Imagine having to negotiate that.
No thanks.
Probably pretty windy.
Absolutely. Awe-inspiring.
Good, buddy.
Very cool. Got the cranks.
Awesome. Oh, there's two of them. Oh, wow. Sick. Counterweights. There you go. They had all that technology in ancient times. Impossible architecture. Here we go. Look at these ramparts. Oh, wow. They're up. Got the snub nose sawed off. Wow. Wow. Wait till you see these, Robbie. Wow, they're just like
Happy artillery,
just
bro.
laying around like whatnot. Wow. Look at these. See, they're almost like plugs, man.
I see stairs, bro.
Yeah. I mean, when in Rome,
Human beings, bro.
when in Rome.
Say that for a sec.
I love that giant
wow,
plumb
yeah,
bobs. That's
right.
hilarious. Namar Main, welcome. Good to see you, bro.
Bro, I want to sit down for a meal up in here.
Robbie's just like, I want to sit down for a meal up in here. I would join you, brother.
Wow, it goes up higher. So this is like almost like a
Guard tower, barracks.
guard tower barracks. That's the barracks. That's the term I was looking for. Yep.
What's up with that chimney?
Wow. Robbie's got to go inspect. Robbie's got to go inspect the chimney, of course.
Chimney professional.
These wooden stairs are a little bit. Oh my word.
Chimney professional roof ninja. Robbie Radbear. Legend.
Wow.
Yeah, this was some of the coolest thing I've seen in a very, very long time. Very long time.
Are you kidding me? Talk about. I get a feeling.
The coolest place we've been.
Honestly, I get a feeling of swashbuckling Captain Jack Sparrow back in the 1600s with the French and the British around here. I get that feeling like crazy. Look at this, is amazing. Some of the boards coming apart. Wow. Water. Oh my word. There it is.
Yo, Dust.
What's up, bud? Wow. You could almost hear it.
Robbie's doing his best impression of a general, telling everybody, reload them cannons. Oh, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. Namar says these wheels are definitely aftermarket. I think I might be with you on that one. I have my nozzles upstairs on the hose. Actually, I mean they look like nozzles. I believe, in my opinion, I've said this before. I think that they used those cannons dual purpose, and that they were able to shoot water through them as well. Allegedly, could it be? What a great shot, though. There's just so much good views here, and scenery was amazing. Oh, geez. Yeah, Brandon, thank you. That really means a lot because, when you put together a presentation, this thing might go wrong, that thing might go wrong, your audio, this, that, and a third. As a matter of fact, like I said earlier, Robbie and I recorded 2 hours of presenting this over Zoom. Lo and behold, when I go back to look over it afterwards to edit it, all the 4K footage was so horribly choppy, I couldn't use it. So I really appreciate that. So I'm just like, F it, we'll do it live. Let's get it done. Let's get it out there. And then Robbie and I will come back for a part 2 on the research, just like we've done with all the videos before were the places that we went. That seems to be a good process, a good flow. We got to make sure I talk right into the mic. The 2 guns mounted here are 12-pounders on reconstructed English field carriages of the Revolutionary War period. Elevation or depression of barrel was by means of a cuon or wedge. I'm sure that's a French word, and I'm sure I butchered it, but yeah, well, it's the French, you know what I mean? I kid. Look at that, the facets of it. Like it's so angular, you really get a sense of it when you're there. The terracing, and Robbie knows the terminology. It always escapes me, but just impeccable. Jack Webb, you're too kind, man. I really appreciate you. Stick around, dude. I do a lot of stuff like this, so if you're interested, I got a whole bunch more. I'm also a fisherman, and I like to showcase fishing as well. Thanks, Brohim. There goes. So Robbie, again, profession, chimney layer by profession, puts together and puts some beautiful chimneys up, and gets on top of roofs and crushes it. He does a really good job. So it was great. Every chimney that we seen, he was just right down in there, checking up in there, and you're going to hear some of his professional insight, I think, right about now.
That's nice soft flash.
Yep. So you think, they probably still have outings in here?
Yeah, I think so.
So Robbie's in the profession of installing chimneys. And if you remember way back, it's where I learned quite a few masonry terms from Robbie. Corbelling being the first one. Remember that?
Yeah, boy.
So naturally
This lintel bar is in rough shape, though.
there you go, checking it out. And there's recent ash in there, you say?
Yeah, fly ash, which is like a nice fine fly ash, which means they're burning seasoned wood and they're burning it hot.
Interesting. I wonder if they do it during the summer.
And it ain't all crystallized, which means it ain't been in there years getting wet, getting dry, getting wet, getting dry. So it's probably from this winter or
Interesting.
within a year.
Well, I was saying that's a great place for a dartboard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we're one floor below the top deck where we just were, and then this is the middle one. Look, you could just see through the bottom. I'm not sure if that's coming through in the. There you go. Yeah. It's almost, there's like 2 planks here. Like be sure your footing.
Or if they would have opened that up, drop hot tar on somebody or something.
Yeah, possibly.
That classic.
The last ditch defense move.
They're storming the gates. They're dropping clay pots on their heads.
Right. Reminds you of Braveheart.
Right.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. My man, Joe Cool, good to see you, brother. Always. Tell JJ I said what's up. You guys crush it. There you go. There's a shot. Get the shot. That's the shot right there. So this would be the main courtyard. And it is raining a little bit, but as I said, it does create a certain ambiance. And there are a lot of stories about this area, not just of 1812 and going before that for the French and the British, but cool haunting stories about a headless duel
or a duel that ended up in somebody being headless. You hear about that one?
Nah, that sounds sweet though.
It's pretty morbid, but it's an interesting. Oh, look at that! That's like old school Corbelin.
Storm the gates. Now
Oh.
we're inside the fort.
Yeah, exactly right. Do you want to see if we can make it across and go
Let's do it.
into the Pusho original, into the OG original? Let's do it. Let's cross the court.
Joe Cool, thanks, man. Always right there. Josh Drag Race, thanks, man. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, there is definitely some underground, especially under the ramparts where it's elevated. But as we know, civilization is built on top of civilization, on top of civilization. Even though mainstream says that we were only here in advanced civilization from, oh goodness, the Columbian Exchange. Escaped my mind right quick. I was 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I think that there was civilization here long before that, even in the Viking Age, 1000 AD, possibly going off the back of Barry Fell, possibly going back to the Celts, and possibly even the Phoenicians. So there goes Robbie ushering us along. But we got a little bit of a surprise for you here. This was one of the coolest things ever. And I preface that it was a lot louder in person than when you hear on here. We were about to walk across. Well, here you go.
We were just about to go across to the Pusho building, and we seen this. You're good.
That's all I needed. I do have 2 more weapons if you guys want to check those out. And I was going to ask if you guys like weapons. All right, good. Because I was going to show you anything. All right, so let's go back inside though.
This guy was awesome. We're going to hear a little bit more from him. But if you missed that, there were other groups there walking through, and he did that. Now you see the smoke that came out of there. Let's do a little bit of historical context here. The smoke that came out of that musket, as a matter of fact, I'm not sure. I didn't mention the War of 1812 first, or initially, but this area also featured heavily in the War of 1812. Anyway, I'm sure we've all heard of the term and the phrase in the fog of war. And that was actually coined during the War of 1812 because of musket fire. So you're going to hear that gentleman again. He was really cool, very charismatic, very knowledgeable, and he didn't mention the term fog of war. I did after I was videotaping, and as a matter of fact, he didn't know that. So I told homie something that he didn't know. But very knowledgeable, very cool, and he details a little bit more, and I get a little bit of it on camera here for you. So yeah, that badass is hey Siggy Sauer, welcome. It was really cool. We weren't expecting it, and it was extremely loud. That's why I made that like you could feel it in your chest almost. Now imagine 5, 10, 15, 20 of those things going off in volley, one after another. You can imagine, especially if there's not a lot of wind, that smoke would linger, hence fog of war. And again, these models, I can't get enough of them. Speaking of,
All right. So before I get to those weapons, I do want to point out, did you guys notice the amount of smoke that came out of one of these guns? Right, that 18th century battlefield is going to have hundreds, maybe even thousands of guys shooting these, plus you got cannons which produce even more smoke. You can see for that 18th century battlefield, it's so smoky that it'd be hard to see on. So if you were there on that smoky, hard to see 18th century battlefield, who's going to be potentially more dangerous to you? Who's going to do more damage to you? Is it going to be the enemy 200 yards in front of you that you can't see through the smoke? Or is it going to be your friends 10 feet behind you that can't see you through the smoke? Ooh. Yeah, it's going to be your friends. Because they're closer and they can't see you, they're going to do more damage. So to prevent friendly fire in the 18th century, that's why you see most people wearing a brightly colored coat. Because of the contrast, you can see through the smoke who you're supposed to shoot at. More importantly, though, who you're not supposed to shoot at.
Let me interject real quick here. If you remember earlier in the presentation when we were in the museum, and I was like, if you see pictures that you when you go to places, you might not find them online. And I pointed out that these three islands down here, if you guys remember, by my area where Lake Erie empties into Niagara, well, there were three islands in the picture, but in this model, there's only two. So could that just be an oversight, cartography oversight? Yeah, but could it be something else? Like I picture something else is going on with this river, maybe ancient ruins that were in the middle of the river because possibly there was a different flow. That's what I'm kind of leaning to. I'm not making a claim, but I'm saying I'm seeing things here and I'm seeing anomalies. I'm seeing discrepancies in data. And I just find it at very least extremely interesting. And you could bet I'm going to follow up on it. Well, I have been following up on it, just another little offshoot point there.
And yes, I know you'd be surprised, but this white does actually show up in the smoke. I've been doing enough big reenactments to be able to tell you that for a while. Now, on to my last two weapons as promised. Now, the first one, unfortunately, I know you're all familiar with what this is. By the 18th century, this is an obsolete weapon, kind of a hangover from the previous century, and that is the sword. Now, I like swords. I think they're pretty cool. But the problem in the 18th century with the sword, why they're obsolete, is because you can only do one thing with the sword, and that is stab people. Now, I know that might be an appealing activity for some of you, but the problem with stabbing people on that 18th century battlefield is the people you're going to stab with this thing. Guess what they also have? Yeah, they have guns, they have shooting things, they have muskets and cannons to do so. By the time you get your range, actually use your sword for its one intended purpose of stabbing, what kind of cheese you can quickly turn into? Swiss, because you're full of holes. And pardon me, because they gave the sword most first.
This dude was cracking me up.
All right, so the last weapon does also segue putting holes in people. Okay? What I've just done is I've just turned my shooty thing into a shooty stabby thing with the triangular socket band. And I do emphasize the shooty stabby part because you can still shoot the gun while this is on. All right, now this is called the triangular socket bayonet, and they're actually manufacturing these blades triangular on purpose, but probably not for the reason.
Yeah, that guy was great. And Brandon, you know what? I'm sure he probably did actually, because after I got done filming, people were walking around and walking up to him, and I'm like, that's the term fog of war was actually coined during the War of 1812. And then you know what? I'll bet he did. He was on top of his game, very knowledgeable. Like I said, charismatic. So that's a good point, man. Appreciate that. And this is the cabin that it was in. Awesome chimney right there, old school. Got to be a free energy Tartarian chimney. I'm joking there, tongue in cheek. Nothing against my Tartarian brethren who still believe that Romanesque architecture is Tartarian. Whatever. Again, I'm a terms guy. I get it. That's tongue in cheek. I'm not personally attacking anybody, but Romanesque architecture is Romanesque architecture. Gothic architecture is Gothic architecture. And this was just really cool. So that kind of reminds me. I get a sense of like swashbuckling, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn type of deal in this area. And it's just, for me, it's just so fascinating to think about, what was going on at the time. What was in my area. Like I'm about 300 yards away from Niagara River right now, near Strawberry Island. And it's just like what goes through my head and what I think about is what was going on here in the 1600s, like in my area. Did a native camp hold it? That's the type of stuff that gets my blood flowing, and why I have the ambition and the intrigue that I do for the history of my area. Not just history in general. Every so often I do bite off history in general. As a matter of fact, that's kind of how I entered the game. Speaking of Tartaria, global mud flood. Yeah, I sat down at that campfire for a while, seen what was going on. And I have my own opinions. I don't believe in a whole realm-wide, worldwide mud flood. I heard Ben talking about that earlier. I disagree on that point, but reasonable people can have a difference of opinion and keep moving forward. You don't completely just shut somebody off and disregard somebody because we have difference of opinion. You professionally, amicably move forward. And that's how the research gets moved forward. That's how we get a level playing field with mainstream academia. Everybody likes to throw shots at me. And I understand that the bottleneck of mainstream is hard to get through. But in order for us to have a level playing field, we have to be amicable. We have to be professional and network on a professional level, not be antagonistic and say, you don't think what I think? Well, then the heck with you. That's, in my opinion, the completely wrong way to do it and go about it. So we left the building and now we're going to be walking across the wall. Pay attention to the masonry as well, guys. There's some, I kind of looked over it when I was there. I seen it and I didn't say anything about it, but as I'm looking through it in the pictures, I'm like, this is like almost
I'm not sure if you
polygonal.
can see across the way. There's a, here we go, period soldier walking across the top of the berm. Maybe just what it looked like sometime in early 1700s. How cool is that? And then how ominous is that? Right behind that is Lake Ontario. Again, Old Lake Frontenac. And I'm told that that building is open. So that's where we're going.
Joe Cool crushing it. I appreciate you sharing all the gravy. It could be, Siggy. Great point. And I tend to think it's more localized. You know, civilization is built on rivers. Rivers overflow. People abandon them. They overflow again, come back. Civilization comes back, builds on, like I said earlier, civilization builds on top of civilizations on top of civilizations. Civilization, excuse me. Blah. But great point. It could be. Could very well be.
So we're just walking along to get to
Check that masonry
the French castle, and
in the background.
this thing just literally pretty much punches me in the jaw. I mean, that would be a Dardanelles or a Bombard. Orban. That's massive, dude. Look at the size of this thing. This is like what Mehmet II had taken down Constantinople. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Imagine the ball, iron ball.
Unreal.
That thing, dude.
I have a hypothesis that they used to shoot water through these things and they were old nozzles to flood old places. I mean, look at this, dude. Okay, it's really hard to portray or explain how magnificent this all is when you're surrounded by it. And we still haven't made it there yet. Look at this. Well, we're gonna walk along the ramparts and then probably go up there. There goes a chimney for you to inspect, Robbie.
Yes, Siggy, that's great.
Look at that. I love to take
OG
a
pressure
picture in there.
washer.
Buffalo style. Well done.
Whoa.
Wow, look at that. That's some heavy components right there, huh?
That's nuts.
You have that light in there? Goes all the way through to the other side?
Yeah. I'm not
Wow.
even sure.
What that's for?
Yeah. Cremation? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds messed up, but it almost looks like they'd be sliding bodies to the sucker.
Yeah, it does. Oh man, look at this. Robbie.
Yo, we gotta go up here while we're right here.
Of course. This is gonna take some data, but oh well. I mean, wow. Wait till you see this view. I had never seen it before, but I know the water's right here. Oh. See the rain in the distance?
Coming our way. Me is good.
No way. Look at that. That's looking right at Canada. Niagara on the lake.
Would have been Fort Mississauga, man.
Fort Mississauga. You can really get a sense of how these things can defend lines of sight.
Defending your wall too. When they get up.
Yeah, see that? Yep, exactly. Showed that. This is absolutely phenomenal. Wow.
Imagine this in 1600. That's what goes through my mind. Hey, Brandon Bonanza, thanks again. Thanks for showing up. Everybody go over to Brandon's channel and sub. The dude's got a wealth of knowledge, and his podcasts are very interesting. And I was humbled and grateful to be on one time quite a while back. So we should remedy that and have another one soon, man. Thanks for stopping in, Brandon. There you go, staring down. Okay, again, that goes to show why these some of these forts were shaped a certain way. So you had a line of sight on all angles of the actual fort itself. And we're coming up to getting to the French castle. Look at the size. Look at the size of that. Insane. And to be able to wield and get these cannonballs in, you had to have a team on each one. So heavily garrisoned. Look at the bricks. They must have been made by giants. Free energy. I can't help myself, guys. I'm making fun of myself as well, okay? Because I had certain opinions at a certain time. And I'm not saying that I don't think that there were giants. I'm not saying that I don't think that I have a hard time with the free energy thing. I'm a little bit more into the tellurics. But if we don't have some humor about it, what do we have, right? Humor is a good tension diffuser. There you go. You can actually see the rain right here. Here's the rain, and it's not raining here. Maybe there's a little sprinkle right here. Just awesome. And like I said, what goes through my mind is like, how did this place look in the 1600s? Swashbuckling, Jack Sparrow type deal. There goes LaSalle. Zooming in, so anybody following along afterwards, read it at your leisure. And we have another reading coming up actually from Robbie. Robbie and his readings, I love it. Yes, I'm not saying that I don't think that there were giants. Great point. All myths have giants. And even in the good book, there were giants in the world in those days. Always within the wingspan, the good book, my Bible. It's never too far from me.
What did you notice, Robbie?
There you go. Robbie's in the chimney.
The dome is lower and tighter on this one.
Okay.
It's not as deep and it's wider. This one's got a taller, more rounded dome to it. And
Okay.
I wonder if one would have retained more heat, you could have got higher temperatures out of one or the other.
And you're really familiar with chimneys. You do that for a living, and you've never seen one that big before, huh?
No, this is strictly for baking. This is probably the baker's house.
Love it.
This is
Well,
where
yeah.
they would have been doing the bread and cooking the meals and
There you go. We got it's for show, but yep. But you never seen one of those big, those that big before, huh?
it was for poo show, not for show.
Nice. Put a boom. Perfect. That was hilarious. Yeah, the baker's house. There you go. And those were I've never seen ovens that had that big of recess to go back in.
Right.
Holy moly.
So they probably would have been shoveling coals out of this fireplace here up into there, and that's where you would have been baking, is up in the back part.
I see.
You would have had these right here.
Yep.
You would have been putting your bread on this sucker, sending your loaves in, and then sliding it in like a giant spatula to pull them out.
I would have been making pizza naturally.
Got to. Buffalo style.
Buffalo style. So we come out here and
Dang right,
look
Robbie.
to our left, and we're slowly making our way to the Pooh show.
We're rounding
That was
third here
hilarious.
for the
Okay.
presentation.
This is as we were just told by the gentleman that you've seen shoot that musket, which is awesome. Perfect timing. And as if on cue, we're getting some sunlight here. The oldest standing building in Western New York, at least. This place right here from Pooh Show, 1659 or 1650s. Wrap your mind around that. I remember coming here as a child, elementary school.
Look at the keyholes in the dormers where they could have fired arrows out.
Yeah, the little slits up there.
Yep.
Now we're on the other side of the courtyard where we came from and walked around there.
You know what this reminds me of, dude? This reminds me of the first Lord of the Rings movie when they get to that first town.
We always come up against cool doors.
Yeah. And they knock and he's like, "Who's there?" He answers the upper door.
Oh,
But
you
they're
mean
hobbits, so he can't see them, so he has to open the lower door.
the Hobbit door? You mean the town of Bree?
Yeah.
By Buckleberry Ferry.
Yeah, boy.
Yes. And there were strange riders about at that time. The Nazgul were in Hobbiton. Dude, you just nailed it out of the park with that one, Robbie.
That was awesome.
Oh, wow,
That was
it's so
perfect.
cool. Just impeccable. I can't express enough how much you appreciate it more when you're rubbing your nose on it. And if you remember, on the far side of that tunnel through is where we came in from, and seeing that initial point that Robbie pointed out. And there we go. Lake Frontenac.
Frontenac. We got 20 people here. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. Big time. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, please. It's much obliged.
Got Robbie sleuthing.
And now I think we're going to be, there you go. This was actually picture take. I chronologically did this incorrectly because this is when we were in the bread building, but I thought this was a cool shot through the window, through the panes. Real cool shot. Of course, Robbie doing his chimney sleuthage like a legend. You could see the dust in there. Dust is everywhere. If anybody didn't know, my name is Dustin, so I always kind of play on the dust. It's very significant, actually, biblically and esoterically and in the occult. I placate more to biblical faith. But dust is featured significantly, biblically, esoterically, and in the occult. As a matter of fact, in the Mesopotamian underworld, poor souls have to eat dust. Although I shouldn't call them poor souls. You deserve what you get.
water when you're looking at it in all the old maps and all that.
There was one picture in the museum that depicted it really good with the Indians on the water. How epic.
Oh, there's a definite distinction. Now open for lunch. Welcome. There is a distinction between esoteric and the occult. Esoteric is just hidden information. The occult is a little bit more in depth with intent, and not necessarily malevolent intent, but there's a definite differentiation. And I think we're going to go back. Yes, right now we're going back into Siggy. Great point. What you said. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the feedback. As a matter of fact, yeah, we went here for a field trip back in the day in elementary school, like I cited briefly earlier. But yeah, thank you very much. And yep, I agree. So, but let me just underline this a little bit. I don't necessarily align myself and say I'm a flat earther. I say I'm a realm earther because I think the whole entire system could be, I don't know, toroidal or spherical. Definitely, I believe the land and the water lie flat for sure. But to incorporate the firmament, which you're going to hear me cite in shortly, and possibly the underworld of Sheol, maybe the whole thing is spherical or toroidal. But you're never going to hear me argue with the fact that the idea that I believe that we are static, non-moving, and the land and water are flat. And all you got to do is look up.
Okay, so just walking in from outside.
Real quick, I'll mention this and I'll shut up. Just do a Google search for ancient cosmology, an image Google search for ancient cosmology, and you'll see they all believe that we were under a dome and the land is flat. But then it's like a trigger word, a trigger term, like, oh, you're a flat earther, and it's like they can immediately, they or the normies will automatically just classify you as a conspiracy theorist quack. And you know what? They're the ones at fault for that. Let them throw shots all they want because it just shows their ignorance. And that's all I'll say about that.
Here, and they have it set up as such to where it might look at a fur pelt trading station, trading post sometime in 1600s.
Wonder how much they want for a tomahawk.
I got one in my car.
This is so cool.
That's the cool one. I see. I remember this from school.
There's
the well.
There's LaSalle.
That's the well, the haunted well, I believe, dude. They had a duel right here. And somebody fell down there, man.
No kidding.
Yeah, man. Maybe with a time. I gotta find the story out again, but yeah. You got your flashlight on you, dude?
Yeah.
Pop it down there.
No one.
Maybe the dude's head's still chilling.
See some eyes peeping at you. Yo, that's deep too.
Is it?
Yeah, maybe 25, 30 feet.
It is. You can see the bottom of it.
That's wild.
There is a story about it too. There you go.
Well,
Did you see how deep that was? Did you see how that?
So I'm getting memories now that I was in this building as a kid for the elementary school field trip for sure. This is definitely deja vu right now. Wow.
23 people.
That beak.
Look at that beak. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, I love the smell in here. Wood and
it must be that one because this damper's closed. In this historic building, the command Commandant's quarters was concluded. The surrender of French Fort Niagara to the British, July 25th, 1759. We
That's
got a
it.
quote.
Yep. Back and
The
forth.
parade was thronged with troops, victors and vanquished. The latter eyeing uneasily the bold and stealthy savages who stole their belongings and coveted their scalp locks in the commandant's quarters. The old mess hall still standing. The officers gathered at the table to break bread together and drink a few healths. Of all the scenes enacted in this structure during the third of the century then past, this final ceremonial of the days of the French was by no means least in significance, for here France herself quaffed a cup in acknowledgement of the conqueror to whom she was yielding an empire vaster and more potential than any statesman of the day could see or dare predict. Frank H. Severance.
What a last name that is.
Robbie crushing it. All right, let's move right along. We are coming fairly close to the end here, so I appreciate we got 23 people here holding strong. Thank you very much for being here. It really means a lot. Of course, Robbie inspecting the chimney. Legend. Look at that table. I mean, just awesome. Okay, remember I said firmament earlier? I love archways that kind of resemble. Every time I see an archway like that, it just, in my head, firmament gravy. There you go.
This is so cool.
Oldest chapel in Europe.
Is that it, Robbie?
Yeah, boy.
That was like an interestingly shaped room. Thanks for being here, Callistoga. Thank you very much. It means a lot. Robbie got into throwing one up. Respect. And just go figure, Jesuit chapel. Nothing against the Jesuits. As a matter of fact, I'd like to underline here because a lot of people in the alternative history community niche will say that they're very responsible for a lot of twisting of history. And I'm not going to say that they weren't. As a matter of fact, what I will say is my father and I just got done watching the show Shogun, and it's fantastic. At the end, it was a little bit dull. Thought it could have been thought they were going to go into the war. But what it does do is showcase how the Jesuits do act as an intermediary to the encroaching foreigners, or the gaijin, as you'd call them, the barbarians. They're doing missionary work, but they're also playing one side against the other. So you can absolutely see how they would have influence over history as they're recounting it. That's all I'll say. If you're interested in history and you have the opportunity to watch that show, Shogun, I would highly recommend it. And it was out of left field for me because I wasn't expecting them to showcase the Jesuits. And it does show how they have a seedy, a part of their nature, and their working is a little bit seedy, playing both sides. And then to step back 100,000-foot view, looking back into history, they held the pen on a lot of history. And I have dealings with the Jesuits and how that, as a matter of fact, I believe Father Hennepin, the first Westerner, if you will, to lay eyes on the Niagara Falls was Father Hennepin, and he was a Jesuit. So I'm dealing with these guys too over here. This was awesome. This was the top floor. It was like I just wanted to play floor hockey. Break out the orange puck, you know what I mean? The rollerblades. Betsy Doyle, interesting character, helping out during the War of 1812, feeding the cannoneers with the cannons. Legend. And yeah, I just wanted to break out the hockey stick and a puck, shoot a couple through the posts. And then the Clark Griswold ladder. As soon as I seen that ladder, immediately reminded me of Christmas Vacation. Clark Griswold gets blasted by it in the head when he opens it up, and then he goes up in the attic and gets locked up there. That reminded me of that for some reason. Okay, here we go. We're walking along the lake, and now we're rounding third, if you will. Oh, wow, we got a whole bunch more people in here. Good to see everybody. Robbie. All the cities around the Great Lakes are significant. It was the first major trade route. Oh, absolutely. Yep. I prefaced that initially a little bit by in the beginning. Iron Man Bear. Thanks, brother. Sheila, good to see you. How are you? Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All you guys, this is awesome. These two were legends. The bigger one is the male, I believe, and that's his, you would say his wife or his counterpart, right? And he was protecting her because he was hissing at us. He's like, get away from here. Very cool. Beautiful cross. Right. All the storms that cross endured coming off the lake, just sitting there stoic, steadfast. Love it. And so were the geese too. See, oh, hold on. They're there, chilling. Holding it down. Real recognizes real, right? Beautiful. Love that shot. And apparently, so do these two homies. Cool staircase. So this is inside the building that you just seen. And some cool, really cool footage up top here. Thanks for sticking around. We're almost done, y'all. I can't believe this went as long as it did. And I'm holding on strong. 24 people. We're rising. Logos is rising. Gravy is rising. Yeah, Jesuits indeed, for sure. And, yep, Masons came along then, too, thereafter. Again, I highly recommend that show, Shogun. Okay, so now we're topside. You get a good expanse of the whole thing here, huh?
Where history is architecture alive, my friend. This is cool.
Some of the coolest ever.
Getting a workout in here. How many dudes do you think?
Getting an abs workout. Ducking down. Definitely getting an abs workout. Exactly. Hurry up and wait. Stay vigilant, because there could be sails on the horizon. Oh, look at this dude. Yeah, biding time. Absolutely phenomenal. One
Robbie
of the
was-
best places we've been, Robbie.
Catching the workout, Robbie was legend. Hurry up and wait. Yeah, think about it. If you're a soldier there, waiting possibly for a sail to show up on the horizon. Otherwise, I mean, you're just hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. What do? You go over your drills, practice your drills, and get a workout in. And Robbie just showcased that on the rafters. Legend. Appreciate your kind words, guys, and support. I mean, honestly, that really means a lot. I wasn't even planning on doing this today. Had nothing planned other than just having these my footage. So thank you. There you go. Here go the pictures on the ramparts. So cool. Just the facets. And I'm not sure who said it before, but wonder what's underneath there. Maybe Siggy, or maybe it was Brandon and he dipped out. But check it. We're on top of a rampart right now, and you have what's going on here. These are obviously for defensive, but I didn't know how to get in there. Robbie identifies that. But looking back over from where we came, impeccable. There you go. Great time, Robbie. Great time. There you go, y'all. Oh, glory. Indeed. Good shot for scale right there. You know, when you get somebody in the foreground and you got an expanse of scenery behind you, having somebody in the foreground is really good for juxtaposition for scalage. And that's the foremost one right there. So we're like literally right on top of here and pointing out towards that. There you go. Awesome. I really appreciate the feedback, because for me, this is so cool. Showing you guys this stuff, and when I get out in the field, coming back and categorizing it, putting it in chronological order is quite tedious, because I got to move it from my GoPro to my phone. I interface to get it to my computer from my phone. It's kind of cumbersome, but it is what it is, and I put all the pictures in, then I put the videos in, and I got to put them in order. It's not hard, but it's tedious. So, and I do like doing it and editing, but it takes some time. So to get that feedback means everything to me, guys. Really, I appreciate it so much. And then just cool pictures, pretty much. And I think Robbie and I have some insight on the doorway, and Robbie brings up the underworld. Another great shot. Love that one, bro. And then there you go, scale. Look at that. You know, just awesome. Here we go.
What are we inside right now, Robbie?
Raveling.
Raveling. It's almost like not all the way around.
This
And
little ledge up here would be the covered way, so you could stand on that and shoot over the upper berm.
And as I was joking earlier, clearly with all these angles and ravines, a mud flood formed all this. Clearly, obviously. I kid.
I'm joking. Obviously, I don't think it was a mud flood, but I'm joking. Busting chops, you know. Yeah, so this, let me see, Josh Drag Race, is the GoPro better quality than a S24 iPhone? Yeah, I believe it is, because as a matter of fact, when I've said before that it creates, having this GoPro has been a headache, sort of. It's kind of bittersweet, because initially when I first took footage, its default footage for video is in 5K. And when I did load from my Google Photos, then loaded that into my, first of all, it takes forever because the data is insane. I got to get better quality specs here as far as maybe a bigger computer or whatever, but because my computer could not play the 5K video. It's just too big. It was choppy. And I didn't know what to do at first. I was really dejected, but I did some research, and the best thing to do is change it from the 5K to 4K UHD. So everything you're seeing here is 4K UHD on the GoPro, but it does record in 5K also. But I don't necessarily need that, because that does like time footage, and you could zoom in, and it keeps the impeccable quality on a zoom in. Maybe eventually I'll get to there, but I don't necessarily need it right now for what I do. But yeah, this shoots in some pretty high definition. But the data that it takes up is something that you got to account for. That's some insight that I give you on it. But it does. I believe it. I'm not familiar with the S24 or iPhone, but I would say that it's, I don't know, maybe they're up there at this point in time. I really can't speak on that, but I know that it does. The GoPro has 5K HD capabilities, which the data on that is insane. I use the 4K ultra high definition setting, and it's amazing. Perfect for what I'm doing and what I need for what I have here, you know. Speaking of the underworld, yeah, there goes a little snub nose, little sawed off shotty. I love those little snub nose cannons. I'm not sure their name. Oh, another great shot. Yeah, Old Glory and The Glory. Okay, so this is coming to an end, y'all. I appreciate you being here. Got a little bit more gravy and insight from Robbie. So what were you just saying, Robbie? You pointed out what?
I pointed out you could see the iron hinges, the gate side of the hinge, and the door side of the hinge, the frame side.
Which is what they had in what were you saying?
And then you can see the tracks where
Yep.
the wheels ride on here.
That you pointed out?
And then you would have had a second set right here. These doors are like 4 or 5 inches thick of like quarter sawn oak.
Where are the other hinges?
That's old world wood. And there's your other ones. You would have had double doors. You would have had to break through to get into this sucker.
So this
That's
would have been,
serious
so
stuff.
this is the original, has to have been the original, or one of them, entrances into the actual fort itself. Double doored, and you have on each side, you are toasted.
It would have been terrifying.
Yeah, toasted. You're in the line of sight right now. And that was another Bushwhacking History sleuthing outing. Robbie Radbear, Berserker Bear, Bushwhacking History, Old Fort Niagara. Awesome. Hit it out of the firmament again. And as if on cue, out of the firmament. God bless.
There you
Take
go.
care. Yeah, so that is it. Everybody, your kind words are so cool. You know, I appreciate you. You guys are a major component of the reason that compels me and pushes me to go forward and get out there and do it. You know, a lot of people research. Look at great ending one. Doesn't that kind of look like Robbie's floating? I mean, that's perfect. What was I saying? Yeah, I could research and then just sit on it and not share it. That being said, the difficulty or a little bit of a speed bump I had with the tech issue, you got to work through it. And I can't tell you how much I've learned tech wise and presentation wise. I didn't have any training in this whatsoever. So I cut my teeth through doing it. As a matter of fact, guys, I literally, you know what, let me come back here. If you look at some of my older videos, I was just leaning my phone up on some books and like pointing it at a laptop that I had back in the day. So I've came a long way from starting, and I learned a lot. You know, I only had my phone initially. Hopefully my next step is to get a drone. That will be a next level up, maybe an e-bike, so I can use my GoPro on the e-bike going through the city, showing our beautiful architecture that we have. I still have all this ambition to showcase not just our city and how cool it is, but also the research, the alternative history research. Is this an ancient city? I believe so. Were there not just earthworks and native earthworks, but ancient waterworks from possibly maybe civilizations that were here. Like I just cited Barry Fell's work. Again, go check out. It seems like Ben from The Archivist is going to be getting into Barry Fell soon. I've been on a Barry Fell tip for a while now, so it's good to see other dudes, especially Ben and cats like that, showcasing him as well. I know he knows his stuff. His research is great, so maybe hopefully next time or when he comes back around doing New York, we can get together and have a chat together. So, yeah, thanks everybody. Calistoga, thanks for coming up. Tommy Rogers, good to see you. Josh Drag Race, great questions and insight. Joe Cool, always the OG. Appreciate your help. Robbie, man, great presentation. That was a great trip. I would have to agree with you. That was probably one of the best ones that we went to so far, even though we went to some freaking awesome ones and we got so much more to go to. So keep them boots tied, bro. We're going to be getting out there for sure. I can't thank you all enough. That was appreciate that. Like I said, I could just like a dragon sit on the data, and a lot of people do research and don't feel compelled to share it. Sharing and presenting it is a whole nother component. It does add a little bit of stress, but hey, like I said, and I just detailed, I learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot, and I'll keep going, and I'll be learning some more. And as far as the research goes and stuff that I could share tech-wise, hopefully you'll be learning as well. And if I can have one person be interested in what I do, one person learn something new each time they watch my show, then I got it made, and I'm grateful for it. So, hey, I'm not going to get too long in the tooth. We were at an hour and 50 minutes. 19 people held throughout the whole thing. So thanks again, y'all. We're going to end it right here. You were watching Bushwhacking History in Buffalo with Berserker Bear, a walk through time at Fort Niagara. And we got a lot more work to do. So stick around. God bless and keep it sleuthing. All right. Take care. Thanks, everybody.